Hi everyone. Today I want to talk about the connection between procrastination and trauma and share 5 ways it can show up in your life. I will also give you some actionable steps to help you start overcoming it so you can live a more fulfilling and empowered life. So, how does that sound to you? If this is something you want to know more of, watch further. My intention for this video is for you to be kind and compassionate about yourself. I'm completely certain that your procrastination isn't here because you're lazy, incompetent, or bad in any way. It's most likely the result of past trauma and emotional neglect, which didn't prepare you to face certain tasks, and your nervous system is now overwhelmed. That's all that is happening. We all procrastinate on something, whether it's filling out long intake forms, doing our taxes, or taking out the trash. It's normal to avoid things we don't enjoy. But the real issue arises when we start procrastinating on tasks that are necessary for our growth or even on things we love. Like, just think about yourself. Have you ever procrastinating on something that you were actually really excited about and it just didn't seem to make any sense? Well, we'll dive deeper into why that is so, or that why that was so. I'll share an excerpt from a book called My Pocket Therapist, which goes, in modern Western culture, we tend to believe that our conscious mind is in the driving seat. In reality, however, it's our subconscious mind that runs the show. It determines how we react to things, why we're anxious, why we procrastinate, why we can't sleep, why we think everyone hates us, why we think, feel, and do anything. I love this one. I'll give you 5 examples of how trauma and procrastinating can show up when a person's ability to manage stress, regulate emotions, and maintain a sense of safety is hindered. Number 1, avoidance of emotional discomfort. Sometimes certain tasks bring up feelings of overwhelm, anxiety, or fear because, on a subconscious level, they might be linked to a person or a past situation. For example, I recently had to change a service provider, and it caused me so much stress that I felt really drained afterwards. And I'm not entirely sure why, but it reminded me of a time when I switched accountants, and that was probably like 15 or so years ago. And the accountant happened to be my friend's mom. So she reacted pretty harshly when I shared that I want to go to another person. And I didn't know how to handle it because of that personal connection. I'm not sure if these two events are related, but what matter is that I have compassion for myself. I did the best I could back then, and I can recognize that now. Number 2, fear of failure and judgment. So, people who are very self critical often feel more anxious and tend to start projects later because they're afraid of being seen as incompetent. This way, they can blame their performance on lack of preparation if they fail. And this often comes from being heavily criticized as children, and now they carry that inner critic with them. They might have blamed for, or they might have been blamed for not being the best at school, and now they struggle with anything they don't excel at because they're afraid of criticism and judgment. And the sad part is that this external criticism that was there in the beginning is now internalized. Number 3, difficulty with planning, time management, and decision making. This happens because when trauma is experienced at a young age, the brain is still developing. As a result, executive functions might not have been properly introduced and or reinforced, making it harder to manage those skills now. So maybe no one taught you or even encouraged you to be independent, to make your own decisions. And now you really suffer with it. And just knowing that can help you go forward in life. Number 4, emotional numbing. When we can't tolerate certain emotions, we tend to disassociate. We might not realize why it's happening because it's tied to a past trauma. And it's there, right? So each time you disassociate, you disconnect from your body, your feelings, which also means you lose touch with your intuition. But again, this isn't something to judge yourself for. Please don't. It's just a safety mechanism you adopted to protect yourself. Number 5, perfectionism. Perfectionism usually stems from trying to earn love as a child by doing things really well. Often the praise from parents wasn't consistent, so you never quite reached the top, or the bar was always moving. So now perfectionism can be a way of trying to control your experience, but because perfectionism is so hard to achieve, I mean, what is even perfect, right? It leads to procrastination since it doesn't offer enough rewards. You end up chasing something that doesn't really exist, which causes procrastination due to all the unpleasant emotions tied to it. Okay, here are some tools that you can start implementing right now, and I'll share the most important tool at the end. Number 1, regulate yourself and practice self-compassion. And the latter one is scientifically proven to help your well-being, self-esteem, and just overall your quality of life. So what I invite you to do is stay in your body as much as possible. Be present, have awareness of what is going on, notice the emotion, and stay with it, even when unpleasant, especially when unpleasant. So what I want you to do is breathe in your belly. And usually, I know our first response is to avoid or escape the difficult situation or rather an emotion, but just breathe into it and be an observer. Don't judge. Just stay with it as if your child or maybe your pet would be in pain and you would just be there holding them, just witnessing that, and just offering your kindness and reassurance. And in the end, what I want you to do is congratulate yourself for any effort, no matter how big or small, because you were there for yourself, and that matters. Number 2, co-regulate. If possible, talk to someone. If you need a hug, ask for that. It's important to find a supportive person, and oftentimes you can soothe yourself with your pets as well. So find someone, your co-regulating buddy, that will help you out. And that can also be your therapist, obviously. And number 3, break tasks into smaller steps. Instead of assigning yourself a big task, break it down into the simplest steps possible. So simple that they cannot be broken down any further. That's really important. So then commit to doing less than what you think you should or are capable of. And this will help you show up consistently. And remember to praise yourself for completing these steps, just as you would praise a child. because spoiler alert, your inner child hears everything. And by showing up for yourself consistently, again, you will work on your self-esteem and you will also become more and more resilient to any situations that now you perceive as stressful. Okay, the most important advice I have for you, or rather, I can share with you, is always focus on the desired outcome. Don't focus on what you don't want. So visualize how your body, mind, and soul will feel expansive when you have something that you desire. Let that be your goal because that will prime you to prepare to face any unpleasantries that are on the way to your desired state. So focus on what you want. Thank you so much for watching. I'm sending you all of my love and let me know if you have any questions in the comment section down below. See you next time. Bye bye.